All right, so what is an alcoholic beverage? Well, an alcoholic beverage is considered at 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, and 1.5 ounces of spirits, which includes whiskey, rum, liquor, things of that nature. So when you're at a bar and someone says, hey, you want a shot? That's what they're talking about. So that little 1 ounce glass of shot glass that you drink from, that would be considered an actual serving of alcohol. So what is BAC and what its limits? All right, BAC is considered blood alcohol concentration within your blood itself. So how much blood and how much alcohol within that blood do you have? So what is the limit in Texas? The limit in Texas is 0.08. Now, when I was a kid back in the 1980s, it was 0.16, but today it's half that at 0.08. So what is a complied consent law of Texas? Well, in Texas, anytime you get a driver's license, the implied consent law in Texas states that if you are arrested by an officer who has probable cause to believe that you have been driving while intoxicated, you automatically consent to one or more chemical tests to measure your blood alcohol content. That could either be through a breathalyzer or direct withdrawal from your vein in order to get that blood. Now, refusal to a breathalyzer test or from a blood withdrawal, it's an automatic 180-day suspension of your license. Okay, so you want to be very careful, because when you go into that DPS office and you get your license and you sign that form, you are consenting to a blood alcohol test anytime a police officer has probable cause. How do they get probable cause? Usually through a field sobriety test. They can smell alcohol in your breath, the way you drive. Any of these things can give them probable cause to pull you over and suspect you of drinking and driving. So be ready for that. All right, what is DWI and what is DUIA? Well, DWI applies to those, or to anyone really, who has drank alcohol to an intoxicative level. So if your blood alcohol level is 0.08 or higher, you are considered DWI. Regardless of age, you could be a minor and still get a DWI. However, if you're under the age of 21 and you have any detectable amount of alcohol in your system whatsoever, you'll be charged with a DUIA, driving under the influence of alcohol by a minor. So if you had one drink, a sip of alcohol, anything that can make it a detectable amount, and it shows, you'll be charged with a DUIA if you're under the age of 21. All right, so how much can you drink before you're considered DWI? Well, for males and females, it's different. Okay, anatomically speaking, men tend to have a larger liver, and so therefore they process alcohol a little bit different. And then also your weight has an effect on how much alcohol you can drink, because the more you weigh, the more blood you have in your system, and therefore it's enough to dilute the alcohol to a lower percentage. Okay, so let's just make an example real quick. Let's say you're a female and you weigh roughly 140 pounds. How many drinks can you have before without being DWI? And it shows here right on the chart, one drink will put you right there in the danger zone, and if you were to have two, you'd be over the legal limit. Okay, same thing with men. If you weigh 160 pounds, the most you could drink is one, because once you have two, you may be over the legal limit. So you got to be very, very careful. All right, so it doesn't take much alcohol in order for you to be over the legal limit. So if you ever go to a bar, to a club, let's say you're in college, or even to a party in high school, and you see people drinking there and you just have one drink, you have to understand that you can be very, very close to that limit of 0.08, so it doesn't take much. So anytime you're on a Friday night and you drive past a big nightclub and you see that parking lot full of cars, well, the odds are a lot of those cars that will be utilized later that evening will probably have a DWI driver, because it does not take much in order for you to be considered DWI. So anytime you go to a club, they have a bar in every single corner of that club. They got shot girls and people walking around offering you drinks, different type of drinks that they make, margaritas and things of that nature, where they put more than one shot inside the margarita. And then of course the different type of drinks you have, right? Because men usually drink beer, but women usually drink malt liquor, which is the flavored alcohol, right? So like Smirnoff Ice, watermelon, apple, things like that, those have more alcohol in it than that of a regular beer. So you got to be very careful, right? So be wary of how much you're allowed to drink before you consider DWI, all right? Because it's not very much. So same thing when you become an adult and you're over the age of 21 and you go to Olive Garden and you have a glass of wine with your meal. You have to realize, how much do I weigh? How much have I drank? is an MIDWI, and of course, any amount of alcohol, one drink can affect your ability to drive. So just know that it'll actually have an effect on your ability to drive, even with just one drink. Okay, so how does alcohol affect my body? Okay, so 2 beers, obviously, loss of judgment, trouble doing 2 tasks at the same time, multitasking. 3 beers, reduced coordination, the ability to track and move objects, difficulty steering. 4 beers, trouble controlling speed, difficulty processing information and reasoning. 5 beers, markedly slower reaction time, difficulty staying in lane and braking when needed. And then obviously, any more than that, 7 beers, you have a serious difficulty controlling the car and focusing on the driving. All right, so how is alcohol eliminated from the body?
When you drink, alcohol is absorbed straight into the bloodstream through the stomach and the walls of the small intestine. If you have food in your stomach, the alcohol may take a little longer to be absorbed. But once it's in your system, there are only a few ways the body can get rid of it. A little goes out through the kidneys and the urine. A little may be sweated out. And some is breathed out through the lungs, which is the reason the breathalyzer works. But most of it, over 90%, must be got rid of through your liver, which breaks it down and burns it up. If you've got a healthy liver, it will only get rid of the alcohol contained in about 1 normal-sized drink per hour. That means 1 glass of beer, 1 small glass of wine, or 1 nip of spirits per hour. It can't work any faster. Nothing will speed it up. So when you drink faster than about 1 glass per hour, alcohol accumulates in your system, pushing your blood alcohol level higher and higher. This blood alcohol level is expressed as a figure, a percentage, 0.05%, 0.08%, 0.10%, and so on. This figure indicates the percentage of alcohol in your blood. Because your liver can only get rid of alcohol at a fixed rate, after a heavy night's drinking, your blood alcohol level may still be over the legal limit for driving the next morning. Coffee, cold showers are no help. They may wake you up and create the illusion of sobriety, but they have no effect on your blood alcohol level. The only way to get sober is to give your liver the time to break down the alcohol in your system.
All right, so why do teens drink alcohol? Ultimately because of peer pressure. That's one of the main reasons teens drink alcohol today. A lot of times, if you ever think about it, most alcohol, if any alcohol, if you ever had any, does not taste good at all, doesn't feel good going down. So why would you choose it as a beverage, right? Anytime I walk into a store, I want something that tastes good and makes me feel good. It's definitely not alcohol. So peer pressure has a big role when it comes to teens and drinking alcohol. So let's watch this quick video.
When you're a teenager, you're constantly bombarded with good and bad advice, life lessons, homework, chores, and peer pressure. Often that pressure comes in the form of drugs and alcohol. It can be very difficult to say no at this age because you're afraid others will think you're lame or that you might get rejected by some of your peers. Even though you might know the real dangers of using drugs and alcohol, you still might have a hard time saying no. Well, the key to saying no is to practice what you'll say before you get in a situation where you're offered drugs or alcohol. That way, when the time comes, you're ready. Take some of these peer pressure related statements, for instance.
Come on, everybody's doing drugs.
Your response?
I think plenty of people aren't doing drugs. Anyway, it's not right for me.
Perfect. Here's another one.
Hey, probably make you feel good.
And you say,
I already feel pretty good, and I don't want to mess that up.
nothing wrong with that. Let's try a few more, like,
Dude, if you're my friend, you'll get high with me.
your response?
I really like you. I just don't like drugs.
And let's not forget these.
Come on, dude. Nobody will know.
And
This is really cool stuff, man.
you fire back with.
I'm not taking any chances. I'd be grounded for life if I got caught.
And
I know someone who got really sick from that. That's not cool at all.
arming yourself with a wide range of reasons not to do drugs or alcohol is a great way to keep yourself free from using a substance that you know can harm you or your friends. You might even set such an example that your peers will respect you and try to emulate you or come to you for advice. So don't be afraid to rehearse your reasons to say no and put them into practice when the time comes.
All right, so what is considered drugs? Okay, when it comes to drugs, you got over-the-counter drugs, things like Tylenol, ibuprofen, NyQuil, anything that you can buy over the counter over at the pharmacy or your local grocery store or corner store is considered over-the-counter drugs. Now, can over-the-counter drugs affect your ability to drive? Absolutely. And in fact, you can get a DUI, driving under the influence, by just simply taking over-the-counter drugs. So if you take something like Benadryl, that affects your ability to stay awake or concentrate, or if it has any type of warning on the back that says do not operate heavy machinery, may cause drowsiness. Anytime you have that in your bloodstream, you could definitely get charged with the DUI, driving under the influence. And so therefore, you definitely want to be careful when you take these kind of drugs. So if you're under the weather and you're not feeling good and you're trying to get a good night's sleep and you take that NyQuil, it may affect your ability to drive in the morning, depending on how well your body has processed it. So just be careful. All right, prescription drugs. Now, the number one thing you should always ask your doctor anytime he prescribes you drugs, is it safe for me to drive? Will I be able to drive while taking this medication? And if the answer is no, it could definitely impact your life, right? So don't ever try to chance it. If you have to take medication in order to maintain your health, then by all means, take your medication. But if you do not, if it says not to operate a vehicle or do not drive or may cause drowsiness, you definitely don't want to get behind the wheel, because then you're putting everybody's life in danger, including your own. So be very careful with prescription drugs. Now, when it comes to illegal drugs, no matter where you take it, how you take it, it's illegal. You can't take it. All right, so anytime you take illegal drugs, you can be arrested, you can go to jail, and especially if you get behind the wheel. So don't get behind the wheel if you're taking over-the-counter medicine, prescription drugs, and especially illegal drugs, which includes narcotics, hallucinogens, amphetamines, cannabis, inhalers, and cocaine. Okay, so just say no to drugs. All right, so before we end up this lesson real quick and we go on to your assignment, this is a good watch for you teenagers out there. That way you know what you're worth, okay? So choose your friends wisely.
The people you are hanging out with are not your friends. I want you to ask yourself this question. Are they raising you up or pushing you down? Are they helping you grow or holding you back? You have something special inside of you. I can see it. But I feel like the people you hang around, they have their own agendas. And I've had people like this in my life before. People who wanted to get close to me, used me to get what they wanted, and then once they got it, they left. So you can't call everybody your friend. The word friend comes from a European word, friend, meaning to love. These people, they don't love you. They don't belong in your squad. A squad is a team of people who you go to war with. They fight with you. You fight with them. You fight together. See, a true friend isn't somebody who makes your problems disappear, but they are the ones who won't disappear when you face problems. See, fake friends are like shadows. They're around you during the brightest times, but they disappear during the darkest times. So I'm going to tell you this. It's better to walk alone at night than with a fake friend in the light. Better an enemy attack you than a fake friend hug you. See, I know sometimes it's fun hanging out with them. You laugh, you joke, but see, that don't mean much. It's easy to be friends when things are going well. But what about when things ain't going well? Oprah said everybody want to ride with you in a limo. But what about when that limo breaks down and it's cold? Who's going to be there with you on the side of the road? Who's going to be there to carry your bags with you as you got to walk home? See, I don't want to preach, but your life is dependent on two things: the people you hang out with and the books you read. Do not stunt your growth by hanging out with the wrong crowd. I'm going to say it again. You have a gift inside of you. You got to answer that call. because it's not gonna ring forever. The more time you spend with these people, the less time you're gonna have to bring that gift out. I know you may say it don't matter, they don't affect me. And to that, I wanna ask you this. What's the easiest way to catch a cold? You hang out with somebody with a cold, right? Well, what's the easiest way to catch a negative mindset? You hang out with somebody with a negative mindset. The energy you hang around, it matters. You can't hang around energy vampires. They say people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. See, I believe these so-called friends you have, their season has passed. And it's your season now, where you flourish, where you grow, and you become exactly who you were always meant to be.